Welcome, blood brothers and sanguine sisters, to Deeply Discussing Dexter. I'm your host, Dale Maxfield. I'm joined by Aaron Caldwell.
Hello.
Brooke Merritt.
Hello.
And Zach Rowland.
Hi.
And on today's episode, we're discussing Season 7, Episode 9, Helter, Skelter. On this episode, when we get to the bottom, we go back to the top of the slide. What did you guys think of this episode overall?
Anybody quick to jump on this one? I was like mad at the beginning, and then I was okay, and then I was happy, and then I was mad again. So
then I was hungry for a little while.
Yeah, definitely
There's
hungry.
a whole lot of emotions going on.
Yeah, I felt lonely for like 22 seconds.
Just a full range of emotions there. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
That's making me nervous and a little gassy.
I enjoyed this episode just fine. I really like Isaac as a character, so this episode featured him quite a bit, so I enjoyed it.
And I did not like this one at all. I thought this one was pretty bad.
How dare you?
I know. It was just not a good episode. We're throwing a lot of random stuff in and just was really bad.
Isaac teaches Dexter the ways of love.
Yeah, that was really the biggest thing I didn't like, but there were a lot of things. Like, there was a whole lot of preachy, speechy, bonding moments that we didn't need. I mean, the minute it opened with them on the boat and they're, like, having this cute little date and Hannah's all seasick, I was done. I knew I wasn't going to like it.
That seems harsh.
I was not wrong, though.
Yeah, it starts with Dexter and Hannah out on the slice of life. Hannah is seasick/freaked out, and it turns out that Hannah is terrified of water. She was traumatized when their father almost let her drown by quote-unquote teaching her to swim. Jorg tells Isaac that the Brotherhood has sent 2 additional assassins after him. Isaac calls one of them to try and persuade them, but they're coming for him. Isaac shows up at Dexter's door and asks him for help with the assassins. Dexter turns him down. He's a little worried that the assassins might get him first.
I just want to say that this little story of her being freaked out because her dad almost left her and all that stuff. It's like this episode, obviously, it's like they lay these little nuggets down for you, and you're supposed to remember them. But not every if you would have watched this week to week when it first premiered, you would have not probably remembered the story about her dad, which would relate to something later. It seems like they're just lazily dropping in things, like Brooke was saying. What are we doing? I didn't like that scene at all.
At this point, they've got 14 episodes left in the entire show.
Yeah.
So they're like, we've got to get people to care about this character.
Well, and they know that because they wrote season 7. I mean, they at least outlined season 7 and 8 at the same time. They knew after season 6 that they were going to do 2 seasons and close it up. So
the only real problem I had with that scene was, wouldn't you have mentioned that a little bit before you got on the boat?
yeah, see, I think it's a trial by fire thing. I think Dexter was like, that's how I read the scene. Honestly, is that she talked about being afraid of water, and he talked about having a boat, and he was like, well, I'll take you out and it'll be great, and you can get over your fear or whatever. But the water's extra choppy, and it's the only time that they don't stabilize the camera when they're on a boat in Dexter. It's the only time that you actually see the boat move while people are talking, and it's extra gross, extra nauseating to watch.
Yeah. How I read that scene was that they wanted to show Dexter's boat driving skills. He was really revving on the engine there when they took off.
I had that thought too, because if you have car sickness, one of the main things that'll give you car sickness is if you sit in the passenger seat and you're not in control of the movement, it can make you really car sick. Because you don't know when to expect the acceleration and the brakes, and so a better way to have got her familiar with the boat would have been to teach her to drive it, and not to just like take off like a wild man and steer into the chop.
I know people can't see me, but I'm moving around wildly like I'm on a boat with car sickness.
It's hilarious. I can speak for it.
Just do that the whole time, the whole episode for our amusement.
Yeah.
I feel like
and then we want to see you
wacky-
stand up and walk. Like we fall over.
One of those wacky tube guys.
Yeah, listen to this podcast in a wave pool and you'll know exactly what it's like. Miami Metro is at the scene of a man burned in his car. Angel is bitching about the health code violations he has to deal with at the retirement bar and grill. Dexter and Deb are reintroduced to Bill Basso, arson investigator. He has not been on the show before. Dexter points out evidence of another person having been in the car, but is poo-pooed.
And that's another issue with this episode for me. Like, why on the 9th episode are we starting a new storyline about another killer? Why now are you throwing it in when we really haven't done anything interesting with that all season? Let's wait till the very end and throw it in there.
I think it's just so they don't have to do all of that in the next episode.
But I mean, just even doing it this late in the season makes no sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can understand that.
I felt the same way. I was like, okay, I guess, because it kind of harkens back, I guess, a little to like season 1, but he hasn't been going after a new person each episode. Like, you know, it felt old and not really in the right place. And it was weak. Like, nobody cares about people setting people on fire. That's old news.
Right? God.
Yeah. And they have some seriously, I mean, the effects on this episode are pretty good, but it starts getting pretty bad when they sort of run out of budget to do fire damage to things. And there's just like a little bit of soot on something. And, oh my God, there was a huge fire here. Like, no, there wasn't. There's still paint on the outside of this thing. Dexter tries to tell Deb that he understands about her being in love with him because of the way he loves M&Ms, which she replies, M and fucking M's, even though he knows he shouldn't love M and fucking M's. Dexter points out that they are the one constant in each other's lives and says it's logical because it is, which sounds like the writers talking through Dexter.
That scene was
Believe us, guys.
that scene was just for Brooke. Like that scene is why she didn't like this episode.
Yeah.
It didn't help matters. It did not help matters. Like, let's not try to make it logical. It's not. It's not.
Scott Buck's dog pooped on your pillow. That was like his move.
Started the whole day wrong.
Isaac is inside Dexter's apartment. He pulls a gun and says he just wants to talk. Isaac and Yerg have kidnapped Hannah. Dexter pulls a knife, and Dexter concedes that if he didn't care about Hannah, Isaac would already be dead. Isaac shows Dexter pictures and provides profiles of the two assassins. Dexter goes to Deb and tells her about the assassins. He tells Deb that they took Hannah and he doesn't want her to die. Deb gives a speech about how she misses the steaks and beer now that it's all burritos and favors. She agrees to pull surveillance off of Isaac. I tried to make that sound as awesome as it was.
Burritos and favors should be what Batista calls the bar.
She's so angry about burritos in that scene.
Like, I don't understand. Like, do they have
Burritos
terrible
are great.
burritos or something? Like,
Burritos are the best.
I can only assume that the
better than
burritos
steak.
at their food truck sucks.
Hey, guys, they're steak burritos.
Yeah.
Everyone's right.
I am very
That's
much
true.
I'm very much willing to work for burritos and favors. That sounds like a very good currency system to me.
Yeah.
And I fully endorse it. That's my platform that I'm running on for 2025.
Burritos and favors is so good.
LaGuerta goes to visit a retired Captain Matthews and tells him that she thinks the Bay Harbor Butcher is still alive.
And he refers to her as Godzilla.
Yeah. Matthews alibis out of being the Bay Harbor butcher due to hernia surgery because Huerta hasn't written him off her list yet. He tells her the only way he'll help her is to give her a lift back to Cuba.
Good thing he came back into the picture here. We were really missing him and all of his racism.
Was he the one that was racist about LaGuardia before?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I was trying to remember
definitely.
who it was.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
For sure.
I think it was one time where he said something about like talk to your beaner friends or something like that. Like it was just like so awful.
Like he hits her with racial slurs like 2 or 3 times in the early seasons.
Dexter has located one of the assassins at a shooting range trying out his sniper rifle. He knifes him through the back in broad daylight at a busy outdoor shooting range.
Yeah, like fucking America, man. Like that's how you do it.
Yeah, this actually isn't a strange occurrence because this still happens. So I was watching John Wick 3, and they just murder people out in the middle of.
This still happens.
John Wick 3.
Like in John Wick 3.
Yes, because film is everything.
Guys, you see why I had this wave of emotions? Because it started off wavy as it was, and then there's just things where you're like, no, yes, yes, no, yeah. Like
It was too much of the no, just no.
That was only
I didn't
you,
have the
bro.
okays.
That was only
Nope.
you.
Dexter making the argument that the only way to stop a bad guy with a gun is a badder guy with a knife. At an outdoor shooting range, completely full of people with guns that could probably see him, especially since he was shooting so poorly that people were looking over like, the hell?
You just kill people wherever you are and they disappear.
Yeah,
Like if video games have taught me anything.
that's right. Yeah, his body disappeared after a couple seconds.
Yep.
Dexter and Deb have a weird conversation where she ends up telling him that he'll never be safe with Hannah because she's a killer. Like, that's a prime I am the one who knocks conversation that was not had. That was a better show. Isaac lets Dexter talk to Hannah again, and their miss you conversation gets him angry about Victor again. They have a standoff involving Isaac pulling a gun and Dexter placing the blame for Victor's death onto Isaac, which he just kind of accepts. Harry and Dexter have a time-killing conversation in which Harry reminds Dexter that he recovered from Rita's death. Dexter says, barely. Harrison reminds me of her every day.
Jesus.
And my
Like you
note
even
was
see
laughing my
Harrison
ass
every
off
day.
because
Yeah.
You
He
see
never sees
Harrison once a
Harrison.
week.
yeah.
Yeah.
Miami Metro goes to a second burn body. Dexter asks them to close the elevator doors, and there's another void in the soot, the exact size of the arson investigator. Dexter tells Deb that he thinks that Hannah is being held at one of the homes by the men killed by Isaac in the bar massacre. Speaking of John Wick. Isaac's bar massacre. Quinn drops in on Nadia at the strip club. She tells him that she slept with George. Quinn goes to confront George, who complains about Quinn not answering the phone. Quinn defenestrates him and beats the shit out of him. He leaves with Nadia. And I love to use the word when I can, but for those that don't know, defenestrate means to throw someone through a window.
There's a word for that.
Defenestration
Not used
of
a
pride,
lot.
man.
Yeah. I've never had a relationship with a dancer per se. One that dances with the least amount of clothes on.
Have you dated someone, Nadia?
Yes, I have.
Oh, see what you did
very,
there.
very Nadia. But I don't know if it's like it's not a thing I would do to go show up at my girlfriend's job at a strip club and be like, hey, what's up, babe? You want to go hang out later? Like, like, what if she's like mid dance or I don't know, just like that whole lifestyle.
She says to him, I just clocked on. Like,
Yeah,
this is the beginning of her shift.
And then he's like, get one of the girls to cover for you. They're already there. Like, who else is going to come in and cover for her?
Right.
It's true.
And she's been human trafficked, and her passport's not her own, and she's in the country illegally, and yeah, it's all wrong. Yeah. Quinn's finding out what happens when a girl says Nadia. I got all the Nadia puns today. Deb narrows down the house where Hannah is likely being held and heads there despite Dexter's protest. Dexter leads the assassin to a boat where Isaac shoots him dead. Matthews tracks down LaGuerta. It turns out that she cheated him by 9 months out of a 40-year pension. Matthews offers to give LaGuerta information on the people on her list in return for her reinstating him just long enough to get his pension bump, because boats are fucking expensive.
True statement. Like,
yeah. I don't think that's how that works, though. Like, I don't think that you can just resign and then they're like, someone's like, oh, hey, by the way, so-and-so wants to come back, but only for 9 months. It just seems so ridiculous of a
that's
thing.
totally cool.
It is ridiculous.
That could happen. That could
you're right.
absolutely happen.
It's Miami Metro. You're right. Absolutely.
I mean, no, in real life, that could happen. Somebody could retire and then come back and have it count toward their pension. So they could increase their pension if they're like, a year or two away and they come back and do that much service. Usually means that they're going to sit at a desk and do a whole lot of nothing, but it is kind of a, we'll do you a favor because you worked 39.3 years for us instead of 40.
Yeah. That's, I guess it's sort of like double dipping for teachers when they go in and they can work so long at one place and then take benefits from that and go work at another place and then basically double down on their benefits.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he wouldn't double his benefits.
Right. He'd just
get a bigger pension. And while he was working, he would just get his salary. Like his pension would stop while he was working, and then it would just be bigger when he retired for the second time.
Yeah, these are none of these things are things I will have, so I don't know how they work.
Yeah, it's like
I feel you, man.
It's like to misquote Spinal Tap, like, as long as there's hose, what do you need boats for? Like,
Okay.
It's like that. It's like that joke in Spinal Tap where the drummer's like, I don't know. As long as there's sex and drugs, I could do without the rock and roll. So, tough crowd today. Dexter stays back.
Don't know what to say to that.
Hannah stuns Jurg with over-peppered fried green tomatoes and hits him over the head with a blender. They fight, ending with Jurg knocked out and Hannah stabbed and unable to reach the key to her restraint. My wife, whose name is also Hannah, was in the room when I was taking these notes, and she said that she absolutely did not stun Jurg. And I said, I knew she didn't, because his name is Jurg, and she would know that if she had stabbed him.
It's nice that she participates. I really like that from time to time she participates.
Yeah, every once in a while she comes in and has something to say. So,
yeah.
Dexter stays back to wash some of the blood off the ship. As Isaac makes his way back, he runs into George, who promptly shoots Isaac. Isaac asks Dexter for something, and the scene ends. Deb arrives at the hostage house. She finds Jurg and Hannah on the floor, each in a pool of blood. She calls in backup and an ambulance. Turns out that Hannah is alive. And it turns out that Isaac wanted to be with Victor, so Dexter has taken him out on the boat. Dexter tells Isaac that death has always calmed him. He thinks that with Hannah, he doesn't have the same control, but he doesn't want to move on. Isaac says that he never had to hide who he was with Victor, and promptly dies.
Yeah, because that's how that works. You just die. Just close your eyes, you're gone.
You die at the exact moment that's necessary, Brooke.
Yeah, apparently. I mean,
what benefits the plot?
Total accuracy on this show all the time.
You die after you've said the thing you've already said 1,000 times before.
He had his big speech.
Bud.
True love is not hiding. True love is love.
Have you ever been a gay man in a Russian mob?
Yeah, I feel like we've heard so many Isaac speeches like this. I'm glad it's over.
Boo. Isaac was awesome until he got shot.
Go right ahead and watch these episodes over again.
Yeah.
Until you understand. Deb questions Hannah in the hospital. She says she killed Jurg in self-defense and doesn't know why she was kidnapped. Hannah asks Deb why she didn't just let her die. Deb says she can't live with being responsible for someone's death. Dexter tells Hannah he's only been scared twice, when he saw his mother murdered at age 3 and when he thought that he might not see her again. He tells her she makes him feel safe. And that's how Hannah finds out about Dexter's mom. End of episode.
That wasn't that bad. Come
No,
on.
it was that bad. It was that bad. I'm glad I don't have to talk about it ever again.
This was directed by Steve Schill. 13 episodes over all 8 seasons, except for season 6. And written by Tim Schlattman, who wrote 2 episodes for all 8 seasons, except for 1 in season 5. What was the best line of the episode?
Real quick, I just want to point out that Steve Schill skipped season 6, and I think we all know why.
Wouldn't you?
How did he escape that though? The best line for me was Deb says "filet fuck."
Also mine. Holy filet of fuck.
Holy filet fuck.
I always
Mine
like a
was-
good Deb fuck line.
Yeah. Like those M and fucking M's is pretty good. I went with Masuka, which makes this even worse for Brooke because she's never a fan of best Masuka lines. But he said, well, excuse the fuck out of me. So just a lot of fucks tonight.
That one was acceptable. That's okay.
How about the worst line of the episode?
I did not write one down.
I did not write down a line. I'm just counting that entire love speech at the end.
I went with likewise because, that was a shitty thing to say in the moment.
And the performance of the episode.
I give it to Isaac.
I as well give it to Isaac.
I'm going to go with Fire Marshal Bill. He's so ridiculous when he pops up.
Let me tell you something.
I mean, Isaac should get it, but I can't not with the guy, the creepy fire
Fire
guy.
it. Zach.
Oh,
Yo, why don't you just go ahead and shoot me then? I'm a gay Russian mobster.
At least he used to before Dexter killed his lover. Have you ever been gay in the Ukrainian mafia? You don't know what love is until you've been a gay man in Ukraine.
very different Eastern promises.
Thanks, everybody, for participating. Thanks to everyone for listening. We'll see you on the next Deeply Discussing Dexter.